Hi, my name is Alexis, I'm a relationship counselor, and if you're watching this video, it's perhaps because you want to know why I'm saying that you can't get back with your ex if you're below 25, or why you can't fall in love when you're below 25. Might be people be angry at me and saying that I discriminate based on age. You'll see what I'm doing is basically taking something that I've learned from a book, an Audible book from Stan Tatkin, who is a PhD neuroscientist, who is specialized in connection and relationship. So the idea is to explain you why I'm saying that, the scientific reason why I feel that when you're below 25, it's harder to get your ex back with my techniques. Not that it's impossible, but it's harder with my techniques. I explain you why after the jingle. Right?
igetmyexback.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.
And so, of course, age is one criteria that I assess before I coach anyone. And what I suggest my clients to do before they get into coaching with me is to take the assessment, to take the quiz, to know if they have any chance to get back with their ex. The link of this quiz is in the first comment of the video and also in the description. It takes literally 2 or 3 minutes to complete. It's totally free, and at the end you have a result, a score, and depending on the score, some tips on what you should be doing next. If you have above 15 the score, not 25 the age, above 15, that means that you have a chance to get back with your ex, and what I'm about to say might be applicable to you. So let's start with why is it so hard to understand whether you're making the right decisions? We're going to start with chemistry. We're going to start with what's going on in our brain. When we are in love, and this mating period, when we are falling in love with someone, there's a lot of internal drugs that made us change how we feel and how we see life. And therefore, that passionate brain is equally an addicted brain. That passionate brain is hooked with dopamine, which is the molecule of pleasure, noradrenaline, which is like the molecule of attention, and we'll see why it's important, testosterone, the desire, and oxytocin, the love hormones. So all this, there's a lot of molecule fire in your brain activated when you're in love. And there's a reason for that. And what's going on in our brain is when we're addicted is that we see another reality. We see something that is different. For example, when you are drunk, we lose the ability to perceive asymmetry. And if you don't know it, but people tend to judge beauty with the symmetry of the face. And so when we are drunk, we don't see any asymmetry in people. Therefore, when we are in a bar, everybody is a 10, more or less. This is why when we are drunk, we feel that everybody is good looking. And I guess it's something we've all experienced. And it's because we're addicted. There's something activating some part of our brain, creating some molecules, and that preventing us from looking at the reality, right? And it's the same when we are in love. The judgment is different. We lose our judgment because what we see, what we perceive is different because we are addicted to some molecules. And so what you have to understand, there's a massive conflict between what nature wants and what we want. The nature is very easy. They want us to procreate. They want us to mix our gene pool. That's only what they care for. They don't care if you're with your wife for 20 years. What they care is that you have to make a lot of babies and you have to mix your gene pools. And actually, you can argue that what they want is for you to have as many partners as possible. And so they're only interested in you mating with someone for a year, just a time for you guys to procreate, and that's it. However, this is the cultural aspect. Now we are more civilized and developed than when we were back in the jungle thousands of years ago. And so for us, relationship is more about meaning, it's more about commitments, about fidelity, it's about building something, family, having grandchildren, and this kind of stuff. Okay? So you have, by contrast, a mating period which is very chemical and that is activating a reward circuit, similar to any type of drugs. So the addiction, how addiction works is the feeling to be in the flow. So when you have that great conversation with someone, when you have that moment with that person, you're creating that dopamine surge. And what you want is to get another surge and another one and another one. And you want this again and again and again. And so in a way, very interesting, that's why also drug addicts struggle to fall in love. Because as they're activating that dopamine with that drug, they don't necessarily need love to create that dopamine within themselves. And so they're self-sufficient in terms of how they create that dopamine intake. And so and I took this example with phone, but it's exactly the same with relationship. That's the reward loop of dopamine. You pick up your phone, you have that surge in dopamine, you feel happy, then you put down your phone, dopamine decreases, and you pick up your phone to get another one. And it's the same. You see your partner, you get back home, the next day you want to see that partner, and it's exactly the same process in that mating period at the beginning of a relationship. And so the pitfall of this mating process is that there's a drop in serotonin. And the serotonin is really the molecule that helps you deal with anxiety and obsession. What it does is when you're attracted to someone and when you are about to be involved with that person, the serotonin level will decrease and you become obsessed. And the reason you become obsessed, the reason the nature wants you to become obsessed is so you don't forget that person, and therefore you follow through. You will persevere to see that person. The idea is really for the nature for you to have sex with that person. And in a way, when you see a potential target, potential mate, you see that person, you're very excited, and then at the same time you're anxious that you're not going to see that person again, and you want to see that person again and again. And it keeps you, basically one way to keep you connected with that mate. So a quick recap, because we covered a lot. And after I'll explain you why 25 is important. Nature wants us to procreate. Mating is highly chemical. It's really something chemical, very similar to drug addiction, which means that we have a loss of judgment when we are in that phase. We're hooked by dopamine, we want more, and there's a drop in serotonin, so we are obsessed. So there's two things going on in your head. But what does it mean for long-term success? Now we are really talking about chemical things, short-term attraction, obsession, but what does it mean for a long-term relationship? And this is why I'm doing this video, because my job is to help you have successful long-term relationships. My clients have kids, they've been married, or they're engaged, they've been together for years. And this is why we need to assess whether you made the right choice to start with, okay? So how do we fall? Automatic brain makes the decision based on familiarity. It's very important. So in a way, there's this automatic process in our brain, and it's basically the one responsible for 90% of what we do every day, what we think every day. And so in a way, when we are seeing that person for the first time, we feel that I like this guy. And it's very interesting in a way, and that's why sometimes people don't understand, because it's part of the automatic brain, is that I could ask you, what are you looking for in a partner? And you'd tell me like 10 things you're looking for. And then I present you that person and be like, yeah, but I don't like that guy. And I would see cases, and I have so many friends like that, where you know that they're not necessarily made for each other, but they're so much in love. They're attracted. There's something going on they don't really understand. And the reason is because, in a way, the part of the brain that is able to differentiate between familiarity, to assess whether you're making the right decision, is the frontal lobe, and it's not fully developed until you're 25. And this is why sometimes people tend to think, I'm not good at picking my partner. I fall for the wrong guys. It's something I hear a lot from women, and some guys to some extent, but a lot of women, I don't know why, they fall for the wrong guys. And as a guy, I'm like, why? Open your eyes. This guy is not for you. He's toxic, he's narcissistic, he's selfish. You don't want a person like that. But yet again, every time they fall for the wrong guys. And sometimes it's because we are being misled by our prefrontal lobe, and because we tend to associate the familiarity with the wrong things. So, automatic brain versus slower brain. The automatic brain is really about the passion, the attraction. That's what we covered before. Yes, but I like that guy. You don't know why he shouldn't be with you, but you like that guy. You know, this kind of bad boy. I like bad boys. It's very much short term. But the slower brain, the higher brain as we call it as well, is the one where we can assess sharing values, the character, see things the same way. And in a way, when you are the person like that, and when you use that part of the brain, you feel safe. I talk a lot about secure attachment. It's exactly the same mechanism. I feel safe. And the thing is, prefrontal lobe is fully developed at 25. And that's why it's easier to make better relationship decisions when we are 25 than when we are a little bit younger. So how to be sure? Because I want to give you some tips if you're not yet 25. To be sure not to make mistakes, the idea is to find people who are not on drugs. So they see the reality. It's a bit like when you're in the bar, you're completely drunk, you're about to hook up with that girl, you feel like she's amazing. You just have to check with your mate who's sober and tell you like, no, that's not good for you. Or it could be the other way around. So in a way, people can see that what you can't, and it's the concept of the Johari window. It's something I also teach in my WhatsApp groups, is the importance of having a support system to help you understand and acknowledge those blind spots that you have. So the open area is the no to yourself, no to others, and the blind spot is something that you don't know but people see. Okay, you can ask your best friend, you can ask people, you can ask your therapist, they will tell you those kind of stuff. And we all have a blind spot. Now, there's a lot of very interesting things that you can do with therapy, which is to uncover the hidden area and unknown things where we really explore and try to new things about yourself. But it's really important, very simple, look at those blind spots and find someone, find a support, find people to, in a way, vet for your partner. If you introduce your girlfriend or boyfriend to your friends and none of them like that person, it means that perhaps you made a wrong decision. Of course, there's a lot of conflict in interest. You don't necessarily want to ask permission to your parents or ask permission to your friends, but it's just to have a sense of people telling you or sharing with you their vision as they're sober and they're not under drugs in any way. I hope that was helpful. Apologize if you're below 25 and you don't agree with me. Actually, if you don't agree, please do comment. I'd like to know, but I didn't make that video to upset you. It's just something that I read in that book, and I wanted to share this very interesting information. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
I get my exback.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.